San Francisco is a global city. Every day I look out from my office in the Embarcadero Center over our magnificent skyline, and I really see it. You know, we're at the crossroads of technology and trade, finance and philanthropy, and education and medicine. The world literally beats the path to our door. With our world-class airport, incredible universities, newly renovated and modern convention center, and probably most importantly, the ecosystem, our ecosystem that encourages global business activity. However, as we learned a few years ago during the Great Recession, I'm sure you all can remember that, we cannot take that ecosystem for granted. It doesn't just happen, even here in San Francisco. If we want to remain a global city, we need to embrace and encourage and energize all those important ties that link our city to the rest of the world. To remain competitive, San Francisco needs the city's Office of Economic and Workforce Development. It needs ChinaSF, LatinSF, and SFAsia. That's why several months ago, a few brave souls that are in this room decided not just to continue the great work of these international programs, but to build a robust new platform, a new organization that will take the activities that we've already done to a new level and be prepared to add on new ones and new geographies over time. I'm David Kaufman, Director of Global Strategies for the law firm Nixon Peabody, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the launch of GlobalSF. I'm honored to serve as co-chair of the organization along with Hans, our great co-chair Hans Galland, and our incredibly founding secretary Wenli Wang. We're also very lucky that we have Darlene Chu Bryant to be our executive director. There is nobody in San Francisco, nobody in California, nobody in America, or even in the whole world, including China, that is better suited to lead this organization. So we are very lucky to have you, Darlene. Well, we have a really exciting program for you this morning, including a lot more discussion about global cities. We are in City Hall, and it's important to reflect on the fact that our first program, ChinaSF, which you all mostly are familiar with, was founded by then Mayor and soon-to-be Governor Gavin Newsom. It was expanded to include LatinSF and SFAsia under Mayor Lee, and we are starting a new chapter, a new organization with Mayor Mark Farrell and Mayor-elect London Breed. So to start us off, it is a real privilege to introduce a true son of San Francisco who stepped in at a time of tragedy for the city, the passing of our beloved Ed Lee, to become the 44th mayor of San Francisco. Mark Farrell, as mayor and previously supervisor, has worked tirelessly to improve our city and maintain a vibrant, internationally connected economy, keeping San Francisco a true global city. Mayor Farrell.
Thanks for having me here today. I just want to congratulate everybody on the launch of GlobalSF. Pretty cool signs here as well. As was mentioned, building on what Mayor Newsom and Mayor Lee did in terms of our international programs, as we think about continuing to attract businesses here to the city of San Francisco. San Francisco has always been a leader on the international stage, and this is just a continued commitment to that. And I want to say that I very much believe in this. As mayor, as a resident of San Francisco, that our city government continue to reach out, continue to be a role player internationally as well. I just came back last week from a 10-day trip to Ireland and Germany. Have been on many trips internationally as well as a supervisor, now as mayor. I believe it is something that we need to be doing and need to push the pedal forward as a city. And especially as we think about today. Think about as a country, as a city, when we have our president, our federal administration building walls, building tariffs, doing everything we can that really stymies what we are trying to do here in San Francisco. We need to push ahead. And so that's why I'm very proud of what we are doing as a city of San Francisco. This continues a legacy, but it is so important in today's world. and what we face out of Washington, D.C., both here in San Francisco, but quite frankly, around the world. It is quite amazing traveling internationally right now and what people are saying about our country and our leadership, that we continue to push forward. This is an awesome initiative. This is going to yield benefits for years and years to come. And whether I'm the mayor or whether I'm a private citizen once again pretty soon, I will be a huge supporter here. So thank you for having me here today.
Good morning. As you all know, I'm Darlene Chu Bryant, Executive Director of now GlobalSF, and thank you all again for coming this morning. And I thank you, Mayor Farrow, for your support and your remarks. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you continuously as mayor and as a private citizen. Thank you. Yay. I actually am very delighted to be here today, and as you all know, we have definitely come a long way. As we mentioned earlier, in 2008, with the vision and foresight of then Mayor Gavin Newsom and the brains of Michael Cohen, who is not here this morning, ChinaSF was created as a public-private partnership housed at the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. I still remember when I was chief deputy in the communications office, Newsom announced that he would set aside $2.1 million to establish a China desk, and being the constant skeptic, I said, I'll believe it when I see it. 10 years later, 3 international initiatives stronger, 100 companies, more than 100 jobs created, and definitely more than $5 billion of foreign direct investment. GlobalSF is now an independent organization. Our work will be on economic development. Our job will be making San Francisco and the Bay Area the destination of choice for overseas companies, while we connect local businesses with the rest of the world. And I'd like you all to please meet members of the GlobalSF team. Team members, please raise your hands when I call your name. Helen Lee, Director of ChinaSF. Leanne Wong, Program Manager of ChinaSF. Jolene Vallejo, Director of LatinSF. Laura Wright Jenkins, Director of Partnerships. Sam Driggers, Director of Special Projects. Alex Fong, Program Manager, our youngest member of the team. Yay. And by the way, I'm still hiring. I'm looking for a new director of SFAsia, so contact me if you want the job description, okay? To better clarify the organizational structure, because everybody's wondering, are you guys like becoming GlobalSF now? What's ChinaSF going to be? Who are you? What are you going to be housed, et cetera, et cetera? So I wanted to clarify the organizational structure. ChinaSF, LatinSF, and SFAsia continue to operate as initiatives focused on their specific regions. Reporting up to GlobalSF, GlobalSF will start looking at opportunities outside the targeted regions, whether they be in Africa, in Europe, or the Middle East, just to name a few. I would like to thank my founding board members, David Kaufman, who gave some really nice remarks earlier, and he's been with us actually from the inception of ChinaSF. Hans Gallant, also my fearless co-chair of ChinaSF at the time. Thank you, Hans, for being with us. And Wenli Wang, who has so far kept me out of trouble in terms of numbers and finances. Thank you. And the transition team for helping my team and I create an identity for our new organization and making today a reality. I would also like to thank Noe and Associates for donating to creative work on our brand. It's kind of cool, right? We have grown up and ready to stand on our own 2 feet. Most importantly, to Vanki, who will be housing us at the runway. So we're now 2 blocks away from City Hall, which is really, really cool. We'll be working in the co-work space and be new and hip and cool. We will be, yes, we are. We'll be spending time on sectors important to the city and integral to its resiliency efforts: biotech, IoT, fintech, food and beverage, real estate, and infrastructure investment, to name a few. We want people all over the world to know that San Francisco is open for business. So I look forward to meeting and working with all the members of the Council Corps, some of you are represented here today, economic development organizations representing different countries, and cities and counties throughout the Bay Area. And I know we have representatives today from the Peninsula and East Bay. Thank you for coming. And while we continue to build upon our existing partnerships created over the last few years, or the last 10 years, so to speak. Last but not least, I want to remind everyone that we are a nonprofit corporation. We're actually a bona fide 501c3. No one is our fiscal agent, okay? So we are taking donations anytime. It's tax deductible, okay? Laura is accepting checks. Our biggest sponsor will be the City of San Francisco to date as a partner in our business. Through the form of a grant, the 3 international initiatives will continue to receive seed money to do the great work they have been doing over the years. So we're really proud of that. And with that, I would like to stop talking and let our panelists today talk to us and tell us why San Francisco is a global city and show how diverse our city's businesses really are. Again, thank you all for coming. I would like to now introduce and welcome our panelists. So when I call your name, please come and take a seat up front. Ms. Susan Person, she's the Research Director of Northern California at JLL. We next have Sophie O'Kelly, Chief Operating Officer at Decathlon. If you haven't been to their shop, you have to go to their shop on Market Street, right next to the Four Seasons. They have the best products and at really, really good prices. And last but not least, Kristen Durham, a really good old friend of mine. She's definitely the pro in our space, but she's now Director in the Office of the CEO at Zendesk. So please welcome them. Thank you. Good morning, ladies. First of all, I wanted to note that we actually have an all-female panel. Isn't that awesome? I think it's incredible because, especially when we talk about the Me Too movement, but also in a city where we value diversity, to actually have women in positions of leadership, to me, makes me cry. Anyway, thank you all. And then we have Talia Hart. I wanted to note that she's here today. She is now the President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. Please welcome her. We will continue to work closely together, even though we are, quote unquote, divorced. Separate. Anyway, we are here today to talk about why San Francisco is a global city. And I wanted to start with Susan, it's a research person. Could you tell us, what are the key indicators for a global city?
Well, I think a global city is a city that has business, produces goods and services that go internationally, that touch all parts of the world. And I think that there are at least 6 key indicators of what makes a global city. Number 1 is the people, and San Francisco is a true melting pot. We welcome everyone. I think also, not just do we welcome them, but we welcome their cultures. And as a result, we have restaurants and cultural events and all kinds of things that reflect the variety of people here and who they are. Access is another key part of that. Our great port and airport make us easily accessible for everyone for people to come and go and for goods to come and go. Education is another key aspect of that, and our world-class educational institutions produce highly educated people and a workforce that innovates, that thinks ahead. What else? We have, obviously, our technology is very innovative here. We sponsor a lot of startups and unicorns and more established tech companies whose products, goods and services, once again, touch all parts of the world. We also have tourism. People come to San Francisco, they see what a great place it is, our beautiful environment, and they want to stay or come back. And of course, not to forget finance. The finance here is world-class. We have financial institutions from all over the world. We have big banks, we have venture capitalists, we have private equity, and funding everything that goes on here, and that makes us able to do everything else.
Thank you, Susan. And Sophie, Decathlon is from France. First of all, do you agree with everything that Susan said? And you know, we know that Decathlon has been really huge in China, but what made you decide on San Francisco?
I agree with what you said, Susan. Yes, so Decathlon has more than 1,300 stores worldwide. China is a very big market. Why San Francisco? San Francisco for us is a city where all sports are represented. We propose more than 70 sports in our offer of our own design products. We need the feedback, and we think that in San Francisco we have the passion, the culture for sports, and that we will obtain this great feedback on all of the products we have to propose. There's also a wonderful innovation culture here. Our first store that we opened on Market Street is, to us, a lab. We're using San Francisco as our lab to modelize what we're going to be able to do in the US once we've come to the right conclusions. So we're testing many things in that store. We're testing being cashless, we're testing mobile system payments, we're testing the omni-commerce approach where we can make sure that all of our customers have the product at any time, anywhere, whenever they need it, with any device. So this is the best place to do this over here, and we feel we're really obtaining great results.
That's good to know. And so my next person, Kristen, I wanted to ask you, since Zendesk was actually conceived on a desk in Denmark, why and how did the founders decide on San Francisco?
Yeah, I think that the factors Susan talked about definitely played a role in the minds of our founders. So the company was founded in 2007 in Copenhagen, and by 2009 we were already here in San Francisco. And I think that for the founders, you know, there was some consideration of city. They made a brief stopover in Boston after they had raised their first money, but in many ways San Francisco for us has been an inevitability. Right? The talent, the access to financial capital, and just having an environment where people know how to build business, how to build it quickly, and how to scale it globally was something that, you know, when we saw the product starting to get adoption, it made sense to double down in San Francisco and really build the team that would take the company forward from here. And so, you know, that was now 8 years ago. 7, 8 years ago today, we are 2,200 people worldwide, about 800 of which are in the city, and we continue to increase our footprint along Market Street because the things that hold true for us, you know, when we were a small private company, even now that we're public, are still true today. We can hire diverse workforce. We can get a variety of skills and talent in that enriches our business and makes us better able to design software that serves all of the customers that we want to serve.
That's good to know. So innovation seems to be key here. One word I'm hearing resonating really well. But Susan, could you touch on what makes San Francisco a global city for the future then?
So JLL has an international research department, and we produce all kinds, we compare markets all over the world, and one piece that we put out is what we call our City Momentum Index, and San Francisco and Silicon Valley, that was put out in the last few months. San Francisco and Silicon Valley ranked number 1 and 2 globally. And what this index looks at is innovation and how to take it to the next level. And so, you know, obviously because San Francisco, this area ranks high because of some of the things I mentioned before, the number of tech startups we have, which are fueled by our great universities, professors and students partnering, and students graduating and going out on their own and having really inventive, great thoughts of products that they want to produce and introduce to the world. So it has to do with, you know, the education, it has to do with the number of startups, it has to do with the number of unicorns, companies that are not yet public but valued over $1 billion, and San Francisco is one of the top producers of those companies. And so looking ahead, you know, we see San Francisco as a place, San Francisco really in the greater Bay Area is a place where these companies are fostered. And with change occurring at such a fast pace in the way we live and work today, San Francisco is really at the forefront of all of this, and I think that that's really kind of what gives us the momentum to be a city of the future.
So next I'm going to ask Kristen, what in your mind, what makes San Francisco unique?
There are a lot of things, right, about the city that I think makes it unique. And when we think about it in the terms of our business, while we've built R&D centers in our global offices, we've expanded our sales force to be in region as well. I think that very much still the level of understanding of product and technology innovation, those crown projects still remain here in San Francisco because we have the opportunity to hire talent out of universities that's strong, but also to be able to bring in engineers and product designers and product marketers who have experience, doing these things for decades now, right? As San Francisco's been, not just on the edge of the original Silicon, move, but then the internet, and now what we're really moving forward into, which is a world of apps and connected devices and things like that. So I think for us, San Francisco is still really unique in that regards. And I think that, how did San Francisco become unique? I think a lot of it is, cultural and in terms of the openness that the city has to welcoming people in, to welcoming business in and making this an environment where you can get connected and you can get the help that you need. It's very unique, I would say, and the ability to work with the city to continue to improve, the communities that we're in. I think in no other city have we had that level of partnership, which for us is really important in developing culture within the company and being able to create a culture that is lasting and that is focused on, helping employees be empathetic, be in the community, and really giving back and working. And so for us, that partnership with the city has been very unique. And on the fun side, right, like our employees love that we had a large float at the Pride Parade on Sunday. It's a great opportunity for us to be out in the community in that way. And a lot of other initiatives like that don't exactly exist anywhere else in the world. And I would say from our customers' perspective, and right now we're developing a new center to bring executives into from around the world, and San Francisco for them really holds this, magic as being a real center of global trade, and not in sort of the obvious ways that perhaps Hong Kong or London once were, but this is where the world comes for innovation, and so we get to benefit from that and also be in a part of that flow, however it looks.
It's really interesting. So partnership, I'm hearing a lot, right? And then we're so diverse. We have a great culture. But let's talk about retail now. Sophie, what do you think how do you think things are going to change, and what is retail going to look like for the future, especially in San Francisco?
Yeah.
What do you see?
I think, well, we've seen that there's been a big change in retail these recent years. I think you'll agree with me on that one. We see that online sales are becoming very predominant on the retail market, that there's a big occupancy rate here in San Francisco. It's very hard to find real estate, big boxes, notably, as we have surface areas that are between traditionally 50,000 and 70,000 square feet. It's not an easy thing to find here in the city and even in the Bay Area. And so there's a real question of how do we position ourselves? What do we want to do in San Francisco? And then when we'll be expanding at a later stage within the US with our model that we're building here, which is a city-based model. We feel that today our customers that we call our users are ambassadors, because we believe everybody has to be ambassadors of our wonderful products. They need to have the convenience they want to have. They need to be able to purchase online or in the store with the best quality service they can have. They also need to feel that they have a personal dialogue with us, that we're actually there with them, doing sports with them in their communities. So we feel that the retail activity and the physical locations is going to take less space, that we are going to highlight what we can bring online, and that our store is going to be a window to our e-commerce. And what we're really trying to engage in now is in the community. You talk about community. I think that's a really important word also here, to be in the community with our sports users so that they can have access to all of our products online and then come and meet us in our store.
Thank you. Let's touch on that too. What trends do you see then? Do you see any, you've actually talked a lot about what we see different in the retail space, but the thing is about trends in products, I actually wanted to see.
Sure. So it's a very interesting test for us over here because our products are starting to be known. We have our own design products. We feel that there is something that we have to explain about products that are technical but that are affordable compared to other products that can be very, very technical and great products but not designed the same way. So for us, there's a real story to tell about who we are and how we sell our products and how we design them. In San Francisco, it's very demanding in terms of what type of products you can offer. So our big challenge is to make our offer that's perfect for the San Franciscans because we think it's one of the most demanding markets in terms of sporting goods because of the variety of sports we can practice here. So that is really our aim, and that's why engaging in communities and the sports world is very much targeted on communities, and talking to people is very important to make sure that they have the right offer.
So San Francisco is a very demanding market. Susan, how does San Francisco, how are we competitive compared to other cities in California and in other gateway cities in the US?
I think it's all about the talent here. And, you know, if you look at the statistics, the proportion of people with a college degree in San Francisco is way higher than the national average. It's even higher in San Francisco than the East Bay and the South Bay. And it's also the millennial workforce. San Francisco has, I think, about 30% of people in that 22 to 37-year-old age range that the technology companies like to hire. We all hear about what a low unemployment rate San Francisco has, and companies are really challenged to hire the people that they need to grow and to grow their businesses. And so I think that one of the things that makes companies globally and companies around the country feel like they need to be here is because the people here are very talented. We have the talent that these businesses want to hire, and the young people want to live here because it is such a great place to live. You know, the weather, the culture, the diversity, everything. You know, the places you can reach in a few hours. You know, you can go skiing or to the beach. So all of the things that are available here that, you know, make all of us want to live in this area, I think, you know, draw that talent, and then the talent draws the businesses because they're, you know, they want to grow.
That's good. Good to know. So I feel old all of a sudden. But the thing is, with that in mind, Kristen, what does San Francisco offer Zendesk to compete in the global market, albeit the city itself has been a great partner? Can you elaborate on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the same time as there's a lot of talent here locally, it is challenging, right? San Francisco's more expensive than it ever has been. The ability for our employees to live in the city, you know, is increasingly complicated. And so I think that for us, then, you know, that is where we really look to the city, organizations ideally like GlobalSF that will help bring the kind of thinking about how do we develop in an economically inclusive way, which, you know, is a concern for a company even like ours, which is growing well. You know, I think it's something that we can't turn a blind eye to. And so the willingness of the city to engage in that conversation, like I said, you know, our office is at 6th and Market, and if any of you walk down that part of Market Street, like you see the challenges of homelessness and drug abuse and that, you know, these are super challenging, but that the city continues to be there to work with us on that, to help those people and to make it inclusive even on that small scale, I think is really important. Taking that sort of commitment to the city as a whole and the economy as a whole, I think is really encouraging. Shows that the city is bought into making all of us successful.
Okay, great. Sophie, you have something you want to add to that?
No, I agree with what Kirsten said. I think there's really a big change that's happening in the city, and I think that many companies are coming to the city. We are located inside the city, and also in Oakland because we have a warehouse in Oakland. And it's true. I went through that area, and I think it's really great to be able to develop and to expand inside San Francisco, which is a wonderful city. And we like being in the city. That's why we chose to have our first store inside the city, which is not what we usually do. But we really wanted to be inside San Francisco, and it's a great opportunity to be able to be inside the city.
That's great. So I think we have members of OEWD here as well, so I hope you heard all the comments today. But we will continue to work with you all, clearly. Kristen and Sophie, we definitely, we appreciate that you have chosen San Francisco to be your headquarter company, or at least to have your office here. And the chamber and the city looks forward to continue working with you. And with that, is there anything else any of you would like to add to the comments you made? Any questions from the audience? Because otherwise we're moving right along to our next speaker so we can have champagne. Okay, thank you all. Oh, sorry, yes.
Sorry about that. I'm James Bridgman, co-chair of the San Francisco Zurich Sister City Committee. Comment is to put a plug in for sister cities. We have 19 in this city, and we do a lot of work with bringing businesses here, and we can go on for a long time on that. But my question to you is, how do your workers afford the cost of apartments and things like that in the city? With a two-bedroom apartment costing more than $5,000 a month, this is a really tough challenge.
I agree that it's an incredibly tough challenge. I think home ownership affordability, according to the California Association of Realtors, is like less than 15%. And I see people that are on my team, struggling to figure it out. I think if you're young, you have a roommate. There were headlines the other day about $117,000 is considered low income for a family of four in the city, which is just kind of astonishing. But I also think that, people figure it out. I think, there's definitely a housing shortage, but it's not just in San Francisco, not just in the Bay Area. You see this happening in other markets all over the country, maybe nowhere so as severe as it is here. We see people, moving further out, or people living in the city with roommates, or, all the things that people do. It's definitely a huge issue that is impacting businesses. And we do see people moving out of the Bay Area, and those people, but we also see a lot of people moving in, and the people moving in do have higher incomes. So it's certainly a challenge.
We have developers in town, in the room today too, so note please. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions from the audience? No? Okay, we're moving on. Thank you, ladies. Please give them a good hand. And I'd like to introduce Hans Gallant, our next, who's going to be closing our program.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you for placing me between the champagne and the panel. Very briefly, I'm honored to be here today, and I'm very grateful for such a big audience to focus everyone's attention on the launch of GlobalSF. From its very inception, San Francisco has been an international city. Angel Island and Alcatraz, with their landmarks of immigration and native occupation, are just two of the many reminders of our area's international past. Today, migration to the city is actually positive, largely due to international arrivals. San Francisco has always been and will always be international. Much of the conversation today, however, was about the topic of San Francisco's competitiveness as a global city. When I personally first arrived here, I too was raising this question and turned to my friends asking, what does it take for San Francisco to be competitive as a global city? Interestingly, I got two answers. The first one was, isn't it already? The second one was, why should it be? These two answers highlight a polarization of views that at this juncture in the history of San Francisco is not uncommon. They also illustrate the topic's complexity. The conversation about San Francisco's competitiveness as a global city today illustrates that competitiveness itself and its sustainability is not a foregone conclusion, and that there is opportunity for great work to be done. There's opportunity to embrace, integrate, and leverage the precious assets the city is endowed with. Its diversity, its talent, its natural environment, its business and political community, but above all, its culture and its spirit. Having the support of Mayor Farrell, Mayor-elect London Breed, the OEWD, the city family, as well as international consulates, trade offices, and sister cities, GlobalSF will have the unique ability to bridge from the public into the private sector, both locally and internationally, all in an effort to create jobs, to support harmonious development, to balance it against the goals of sustainability, resiliency, and protecting what makes this city special. The organization is having a great start and a great team, all ingredients for success. But it also has a tall order to fulfill, a tall order that can only be achieved with your continued and generous support. Please join the city, my fellow board members, Darlene and her team, in supporting GlobalSF. To start today by raising a glass. We have champagne in the back that will be coming around.
They will be coming around.
Here, you can have mine.
GlobalSF, to much success in your mission, may you become a much-studied example with your local and global impact. May you truly make San Francisco the best place for business and life. May you do us all proud. Off you go, GlobalSF.
Cheers.